Hey, I'm Eric Dominguez, and this is my second delivery for the task of reading a book. On this time, we have to read the Fourth Industrial Revolution by Klaus Schwab. And before starting, I would like to explain a little bit who is this guy, Klaus Schwab. Well, this guy has become a little bit important because he has created the World Economic Forum, which is actually a non-governmental institution, ONG, but with international presence that is located in Geneva, and it's focused on what kind of problems are coming to our world in order to stop them or try to stop them. Um, the most important topics that they are uh, like digging into, it's environmental. Well, yes, take care about the environment and healthy, which actually I don't know why they didn't uh, forehead the coronavirus, but it's okay. Well, it's important this place, that World Economic Forum, because they are proposing a new way to rule the world, not only by democratic system, but also with a system which gather different spheres. For example, these co-ops, this like uh, people representations. Um, Apart from that, some executives from the private industry. So, what is the importance of this? That uh, they are giving us a new way to live the future. Not only due to the technology, which I am going to talk about a little bit in some minutes, but also we are improving our way to be ruled or governed. Well, now we're going to start about the book, which actually starts with what is the fourth industrial revolution. There has been there have been too many historical moments which has changed our way to live. But in this moment, now we are in 2022, and too many things have passed in the moment, in the half of that. For example, the pandemic, which actually comes to revolutionize everything. Well, um, this book, apart from that, talks about how external factors are driving us to to change our way to live, like in last years, of course. But in this case, it talks about megatendencias. And what are those megatendencias? Basically, they are those huge waves that we are into, and they are taking us to a someplace, some with things, some ways to live that, of course, promotes the capitalism. And why did I say promotes? I'm going to talk about a little bit later about it. But well, this book is telling us how the technology, particularly, and technology and digital technology, is giving us a new landscape. If we go to 1817, we found that machines were changing everything. Okay, now we have the vapor, and we are going to do it. We are going to use that kind of energy to make our work easier. Then the time passed, And now, oh, we have discovered electricity. Now we are going to use this kind of of of, of power in order to do our machines work. The time keep moving and moving and moving, and we get to other point that I don't remember in this moment. But this is taking us to this moment where digital technology is everything. For example, some years ago, I mean, in the 1985, maybe, um, perhaps internet was not a reality, or they are being, well, a reality, but it was became in something new. And it makes me think in the way that we are studying of how we are preparing ourselves. For example, if you are older than 35, 40 maybe, you had to go to the library, get a book, uh, take a kind of of tarjeta bibliográfica and reading the book in order to know that knowledge, in order to get that knowledge that you had to know, for example. And we as students, we are not handling with that. We just have to Google something, and that information is going to be in front of our eyes without making a kind of effort. So this takes me to the other point. How effort are we doing in order to promote our work or keep our work? Because the book is telling us about, well, it's a kind of awarening about what is happening with the future work, or the work of the future, best said. What is going to be our work in the future if machines are replacing us, which actually take us to another interesting point. But with that in mind, machines with vapor, with electricity, with digital, with all this kind of updating technology. How effort are we doing? How necessary are we? How important is the personal interpersonal relation? Actually, the work in one of those first chapters, it says about the companies are making more money. They are becoming worthy wealthier without investing more or without hiring more people. Why? Because they are uh, automatizing, I think that is the word, automatizing the work. They are investing a certain amount of money, and that money that money buys machines, and those machines are have a kind of vida útil 13, 35 years, obviously with their maintenance, which actually uh, comes to my mind like, okay, in the future, all those machines need to be fixed or to be like checked or verified or something like that. And it is supposed that it should be done by a human, by a person, by a rational being, which is going to go, who is going to go to fix or to check or to improve or to oil or to something that machine. But I think that we are going to get to that point where machines are going to be fixed into the machine, and that machine is going to have its own machine to get fixed. So what about that? What about the person? What about the this kind of thing? Actually, it reminds me the movie about 2001 Odyssey, where this monolito comes to the earth and changes everything, and where the machine is sent to the space with those spacemen, I think astronauts, well, with those guys, the machine starts to think in a smarty way, but at the end it doesn't have our circumstances, our relation with the others, and I think that is something that this word is missing out. Because it's talking about, okay, economy, business. What about the national and the global stage? But what about society? It only have like, I don't know, 4 or 5 pages about it. But well, apart from that, um, well, it comes another interesting part about automatization. What if, and I said this as a communicator, what if capitalism is using our system of communication for spread the panic, for spreading the being afraid about the changes? Actually, I mentioned it in the last class when I said, uh, if private property is the core of the capitalism, okay, but how you are going to get work? And actually, I am taking this from the Marx books about the shoes example. Okay, I have the shoe, and I'm going to give you those materials, those raw materials. You are going to become it in a shoe, and I'm going to ask for money to this, and I'm going to give you a little bit amount of money from the huge amount that I'm getting. With this in mind, what if the capitalism doesn't want that our work stops, and that's why they are telling us you must work, you must get into the meritocracy, you must, and that must becomes in something that becomes an afraid. I mean, you mean afraid. And I say this because as humans we have this kind of afraid of the change, and it makes me think about the Renaissance, that moment where that people were coming from the 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 medieval, that media, the medieval age, and some people didn't want to change because they were used to being ruled by a clero, by a preacher, by God. And when everything changes and they say we have to put this mirror in front of us and take aware about ourselves and think of us and how we are, who we are, where we are, what about, uh, what is there for the God, for example. Some people was agree and someone wasn't, but the main featuring about that age was something changed. They realized that they have to pay attention on themselves. What if, just what if, machines are being programmed to work for us? They pay more taxes, we have a better payment, and we start make that worth about ourselves, about our families, about our lives, about our whatever thing. Because in this capitalism, in this capitalist world, working working have become, well, living have become part of working, instead of working have become a part of living. And it makes me think in another example that it comes in the book. well, within the book and other kind of examples, how related are we with the technology in order to take ourselves out of our own minds. I mean, we can get and we can achieve amazing things and unbelievable things, like this guy that was watching videos since he was 12 years, and when he turned 18, they he found the way to rise popcorn, well, corn, faster. And okay, he again is promoting this kind of uh, take the technology and abilities forward. But what about you? How are you into yourself? Apart from that, the book talks about the impact. I mean, the economy, the rising of the economy, the being elder, and all of that kind. I mean, I've got my notebook here and my what I write down there. It's like a kind of accordion in order to don't forget everything. Okay, apart from that, it makes me think about the movie Lucy. This movie where Scarlett Johansson is the main character, and it talks about how drugs, well, a kind of synthetic drug that boost her, and they start using her 60% of her brain, and it escalates and escalates and escalates in order to use a higher part of her brain. And she does different things. For example, um, manipulate with telepathy the body of others just to improve her way to use her brain. What about instead of drugs, we use technology? And it's happening. For example, these kind of devices that you wear on your hand, and you do something like this or that, and a little car, remote car, starts to move in the same way that your hand. And actually, there are other devices that you can take out that kind of glove, and with the only thing, or the only fact of thinking about car, I need you move forward, the car is going to do. What about if technology is impacting us in a different way that is usually thought? Well, those are some thoughts that come to my mind by reading this book, where the technology and the human it's becoming in one, and apart from that, technology is boosting our abilities, our skills, our capability, but it's decreasing our efforts because it's coming easier. For example, if I wanted to learn something, I had to do this kind of traditional study or traditional prepare to an exam. And now, for example, with those memories, for example, well, memory saver that Elon Musk is developing, well, you're going to have a little chip and you are going to decide, think about it, and you are going to remind it. So it's making us, I wouldn't say more stupid, we're like more lazy because we are losing this commitment with ourselves, with the other, with our work, with the environment, and just because technology is taking that place instead of taking that kind of place in our own minds. So uh, those are some things that I have been thinking about this book. Um, and I was going to say another thing that I just write here. Yes, I mean, not only about the well, and this is a thought that comes to my mind because of the book, of course. because it says, okay, technology is controlling us, but how we are controlling the technology and the people who uses the technology. In this case, how are we regulating or making these kind of laws in order to use the technology responsibly? Well, I think that a phenomenon that is happening right now in my generation, it's the fact of sexting. And for example, I mean, sexting comes to change our way to live our own sexuality. And I mean, in those days, people have to meet in some place and agree to have sex and see each other and all that kind of things. And it was kind of harder in order to get that um, libido. And nowadays, with technology, are creating these kind of practices. And it's interesting because internet was created in the 89, more or less, if I'm not wrong. Cell phones were created in the 97 or something like that. WhatsApp was created in the 2012, if I'm not wrong. And in that moment, the sexting started, but it was in a low quantity. Since 2011 to 2022 have passed 11 years, and just 2 years ago, a law were created by the government, of course, which is called the Olympia. So we are not thinking in the same way that technology is advancing, and I think that is a point that we haven't taken into consideration, because okay, we are creating technology, but we are not prepared for a live with that technology. Not only for our marriage, not only for our government, not only for all that, for all those kind of stuffs, but also how this society is going to be related due to that improvement in the technology. So, I mean, past 10 years in order to create a law like this. And what about drones, for example? And I can mention hundreds of examples about it, where technology is going faster and forward than us as person, as society, as creators, as everything. And I think that is something that people who is creating that kind of um, technology is not taking into consideration. Well, those are these crazy thoughts that come to my mind by reading this, and I hope that someone, somewhere watches this and said, okay, these dudes were not crazy. They were thinking different. They were thinking about technology, and probably we could make the change. Or even if we create new technology, we think how legally, socially, emotionally, historically, it's going to impact. And that's it. Thank you for listening to me. I don't know uh, how long is this video, but I think that it has been enough. Well, thank you, Miss, for watching me, and these were my crazy thoughts by reading this book. Bye.